So yeah, I think that's it. I think I've decided that from now on I'm never gonna leave the house anymore. I see that's all tiny bits of black brush algae that's coming from the bottom of this rock. So another kind of mistake that I made with this aquarium is that I underestimated. What's up everybody, welcome back to the channel. Hope you're all doing well. Finally we're making a video about the big shallow again. It's been ages since this aquarium got any sort of attention on this channel. What happened to it? Why didn't I show it to you guys more? Why didn't I make any more videos about it? And was this project a bit of a fail? I'm gonna tell you all about it. Before we get into that, let's do a little recap. 7 months ago I picked up this beautiful shallow tank measuring 120 by 50 by 30 centimeters with a total volume of 180 liters or 47 gallons. Since I started the aquascaping hobby, I had only been working with small nano tanks, so you can kind of understand how excited I was to finally get something of this size. With the help of some amazing companies like Oase and Skylight, this setup got some of the best equipment that's on the market right now. So I got to work and started scaping the tank. I really wanted to go for an Iwagumi style aquascape since this was something I had never done before. I also got these amazing rocks, so it only made sense to go for an Iwagumi style. Now I'm saying Iwagumi style because this was not going to be a classic Iwagumi. A classic Iwagumi has to have a certain number of rocks in certain positions and usually only has one or two types of plants. And you guys know me, I cannot contain myself when it comes to choosing plants. And that's exactly what happened here as well. I got like 12 different types of plants and used probably more than 50 pots in this aquarium. So the tank was planted in the beginning of June and it went off to a great start. Plants were growing really well, no algae issues, and we got some really nice fish as well. Everything was going great until the end of July. I went away for a holiday and when I came back the aquarium was covered in algae, including some cyanobacteria. Thinking back to this moment, I should have just done a quick 3-day blackout to get rid of the cyano, but I didn't. Now in the last few years we didn't travel much at all, but this year we actually had planned 2 trips right after each other. So a week later we left the country again. And probably the worst thing you can do to an aquarium that is already suffering from some algae issues is leave it unattended for another 2 weeks. But hey, everything from the lights, the CO2 and the fertilizer was automated, so what could go wrong, right? So end of August we came back to even more algae and more cyano. Then I finally did what I should have done a lot sooner. After a 5-day blackout, pretty much all the algae was gone and we could focus on getting the aquarium back in shape. After being covered in algae for almost an entire month, followed by no light for 5 days, the plants were in pretty bad shape, especially the Glossostigma carpet. I decided to make a few changes to the layout as well and add some new plants. So basically for the past 2 months, the big shallow has been in recovery mode with a few more hiccups in between. And now at its 6-month anniversary, it's finally at a point where I feel comfortable showing it on camera again. So yeah, that was just a quick little recap of what has been happening in these past 6 months and why I've been hiding this aquarium from the channel. Hope you guys kind of understand. Funny enough, that actually wasn't all the problems just yet, because last month I had to travel again. So last month I went to Germany and when I came back there I had more issues again. So with this aquarium I'm actually injecting quite a lot of CO2. See, we're at about, what is that, 5 bubbles per second, something like that. So when I came home from my trip to Germany, I was away for 5 days. I came home, I checked everything, and the pressure in the CO2 had dropped. So I was injecting like 1 bubble per 5 seconds basically. So I was definitely not enough CO2 available for the plants here. And yeah, basically in the days after that I had a load of black brush algae issues. So yeah, I think that's it. I think I've decided that from now on I'm never going to leave the house anymore. I'm just going to live here in my living room next to my tank. No more traveling. I think maybe I'll just become a monk or something like that. Only joking of course, but I think a lot of it was just down to bad luck, because all my other tanks didn't suffer one bit from those times that I was away. And yeah, I think a lot of it was bad luck and maybe some bad decision making as well. If I would have just done that 3-day blackout after my first holiday, then you know we would have gotten rid of that cyanobacteria straight away, and then it wouldn't have dragged on for so long and the plants wouldn't have suffered so much. So next time, fix it instantly with the blackout. So another kind of mistake that I made with this aquarium is that I underestimated the power of this light, the Skylight Hyperspot. So with this scape, it's the first time that I'm trying to grow Glossostigma, this carpeting plant here in the front. And I did a lot of research beforehand, and I kind of found out that this is a very fast growing plant. So I was under the impression that once this aquarium is up and running, I would have to trim the carpet every 2 weeks or so. And then when that didn't happen, I thought, okay, maybe it's just not enough light, because I found out from the research that this plant also needs a lot of light. So I kept increasing the light from the skylight, but then the plant growth didn't really improve. So I kept increasing the light intensity, and with that, I just made it a lot more difficult for myself. Made a bigger imbalance in this aquarium, and yeah, I just made it a lot more vulnerable for algae. So I think I figured out why the Glossostigma wasn't really growing properly. I think it had everything to do with my water parameters. So basically here in the Netherlands, in this part where I live, the tap water is pretty hard. KH is about 10 on average. So that in combination with these rocks that are also leaking calcium into the water, this water is basically like liquid rock, you know. And I think Glossostigma just prefers a bit more softer water. So basically in the past month, I've kind of been increasing the CO2 levels just to lower the pH. That also makes the water a little bit softer. And I've also started using this. This is a KH minus solution from Masterline. So after every water change, I'll add like 2 full caps of this. And basically 1 cap reduces the KH by 1 point. So I'm slightly making the water a little bit more acidic. And since then, I've really seen a noticeable change in the growth of the Glossostigma. So right now the aquarium is still far from how I kind of envisioned it and how I kind of wanted it to look, but I think we're on the right track and I'm really happy about that. We still have some algae in here, especially on these 2 big rocks right here. They're both covered in blackbrush algae, and there's some blackbrush algae on the plants as well and in between the Glossostigma. But that's just residue from the previous issues basically, and now we just need to wait for that to disappear. You can clearly see the smaller rocks here. They were also covered in blackbrush algae, but basically what I did is I just flipped them around. So the side that it was covered with blackbrush algae is now on the bottom. I think if I do this, it might pop up. I see that's all tiny bits of blackbrush algae that's coming from the bottom of this rock. So that I just need to clean. So only these 2 rocks are still covered in blackbrush algae. I can't really flip these over so easily. So I was thinking to actually take these rocks out completely and just drop them in a bucket with some bleach or something just to kill the algae and then place them back. But that is a bit risky as well, because this rock is half buried in the substrate and it's leaning on smaller rocks, and I think that's just a bit too big of a risk. I won't be able to place it back properly. So we need to come up with a different solution. I think I'll actually spray them. I'll spray them with some hydrogen peroxide or something next time I'm doing a big water change or a big trimming session. I'm a little bit afraid of that as well, because with the hydrogen peroxide, if it touches the other plants, then they will not be happy about that. I'm going to be completely honest with you here. During those past 6 months, and with all the issues that this aquarium had, there were a few moments where I thought about giving up. When I was struggling to grow the Glossostigma carpet, I was thinking there were a few moments where I thought about ripping the entire carpet out and replacing it with something easier like Monte Carlo or Cuba or something like that. With the last hiccup with the CO2, when everything was covered in blackbrush algae, there were also a few moments where I thought about just do a complete rescape, just start from scratch. And I think maybe if it wasn't for this YouTube channel, even if it wasn't for all you guys following me and watching me, maybe I would have done it. I don't know. But I'm really happy that I didn't do it. I'm happy that I didn't chose the easy way out. I'm really happy with how this aquarium is developing right now. I'm sure in a few weeks it's going to look even better. And the reason that I started a YouTube channel is because I wanted to help people and I wanted to teach people everything there is to know about this amazing hobby. No, I don't know everything, I cannot know everything, but this aquarium learned me a lot as well. I learned a lot from this, everything that went wrong here. And this is again knowledge that I gained that I can share with you people. So hopefully you will not yeah, make these same mistakes, and hopefully you will learn from my mistakes. By the way, I do still think that we need to get more fish for this aquarium. It's too empty right now. We still have the group of pygmy cories. They're doing really well. Still breeding once in a while. And we also have the group of gold ring Danios, but that group has been getting smaller and smaller. Don't know what it is with them. I kind of, thought that they would be jumping out, but they haven't been jumping at all. Instead, they kind of become skinny at some point, and then their back get hunched, and then within a few days they just pass away. So yeah, we need to get some more fish. That's another exciting thing coming up in the near future. But that is the end of the video. Hope you guys enjoyed this one. Don't forget to smash that like button. Thanks for watching. See you next time. Take care.